Hello everybody, and a very warm welcome to our meeting. This is the agenda for our tutorial this morning. First of all, Malcolm is going to be setting the scene in Suffolk Virtual Bridge, and then Richard is going to be talking about communication within Suffolk. I will be dealing with training, and then Peter will be moving on to further development. After that, we will be having a question and answer session, so you'll have the opportunity to answer any of those questions that you have.
Good morning, everybody. Many thanks for joining us. This brief introduction is going to cover three areas, which will be expanded on by each of my colleagues. Firstly, some of the key roles in providing online bridge in Suffolk. Secondly, the main messages we've given our members to encourage them to join our online bridge community. And thirdly, an update on the online games we're running with some figures. Others are involved as well, but you'll hear about them later. But here are three key roles. First of all, Richard, who has a background in media, runs Suffolk's marketing, which has been critical for bringing our members to the online table. There are a wide range of marketing tools that Richard will discuss later, including our website, which is built using BridgeWebs. We've also got social media and direct email communications via BridgeWebs to our members. Jax and Peter share the role of building close relationships with all of our clubs. And all four of us are event managers, so we run at least one Suffolk competition each. So far as the online games are concerned, Richard is involved with the Funbridge games. Peter and Jax run our weekly county pairs game and are also running out the Virtual Clubs initiative. And I have set up our online county teams league. The way we've communicated with our members, the way we positioned online bridge and the support and guidance we've been able to provide on how to get started and how to make sure online bridge is enjoyable, these have been really important. The messages we've given have been very simple and direct. So online is the only game in town at the moment. Everyone's starting to play online, so why don't you? You can play with people from your club and other players you know and like. Players are well-behaved, friendly and gentle. All levels of experience are welcome. There's a game that will suit you. The technology is not difficult to master. You'll be able to play online easily. Whatever help you need will be given. And there are lots of different types of game available for you to choose from. All very positive and constructive messages, and Richard will talk about that in a second. And so here is where we actually are with the numbers with online bridge in Suffolk. We've got once a week there's a 28 board fun bridge competition, and every day there's a 5 board competition. As you probably know, on fun bridge you play with a robot, and these games are currently attracting 50 plus players. We've got an active Bridge Club live community. I started an online teams league that was launched in mid-April. We've only got about 1,000 or just over 1,000 members, but we've got 21 teams in that when we launched it, split into 4 divisions. Teams playing roughly 1 match on BBO per week, 20 boards. Season 1 has just finished and we've just launched season 2, and the number of teams has increased from 21 to 24. And in fact, we've got a further 2 teams that want to join when season 2 finishes. Again, the league is for all levels of experience. The top division contains many players that regularly represent the county. And in the bottom division, we've got lots of players with NGS grades in the 4 to 8 range. So it really is for everyone, this league. We've got a county pairs game every Sunday. Peter had been running an online game roughly once a month for the last 18 months. But from March, this has become a weekly event. again, we see players from a wide range of experiences. Last Sunday, we had 21 tables and it's increasing. Jax and Peter have been rolling out the Virtual Club initiative. That's still ongoing. Some clubs have joined forces for this. Currently, 10 out of our 18 clubs are able to provide their members with online club bridge. Pre-lockdown, when we were all playing face-to-face bridge, the total number of tables played in clubs across the county per week was just above 170. Last week, the online number was over 100. So at the moment, we've got about 60% of people playing online, 60% of the face-to-face numbers pre-lockdown. That percentage will continue to rise. Some clubs are actually seeing an overall increase in attendance. And bear in mind, these figures are just BBO. They do not include Funbridge or Bridge Club Live, and they don't include the county games either. So that 60% number represents really good progress, but we fully expect that number to continue to rise. So I'm now going to hand you over to Richard, who will show you more about the marketing.
Right, good morning, everybody. Although I'm Suffolk's webmaster, I am not a techie, anything but. My background is newspapers, but I am passionate about the potential of bridge websites to influence players and bring about change in clubs and counties. And during this crisis, the Suffolk website and some club websites have been critical for a simple reason. No matter how brilliant an idea or concept, and what Jax, Peter and Malcolm have produced has been brilliant, it's worthless if our players don't know about it. And it's worthless if they don't feel comfortable embracing it. In a nutshell, we've tried to educate our average member not to be scared of online bridge and to realize this is the only way they can play the game at the moment. And we think we're succeeding. Now, bridge webs, which are used by most bridge clubs and counties, have one huge advantage. Idiots like me can operate them. You don't have to be Bill Gates. So let me just take you through the Suffolk timeline. Effectively, club bridge ceased on the 16th of March. Within 4 days, we'd sent out an email to all our members saying there would be a game on BBO that weekend. The following day, lockdown was announced. And I think we all realized that there was going to be no club bridge for the foreseeable future, and online bridge was going to be the only option. And we had to get that message across to our 1,000 members, and fast. So drastic action was called for. First, what had been a rather elegant Suffolk website was quickly redesigned. In newspaper terms, I changed it from a broadsheet to a tabloid. You'll see there's a new masthead at the top, Suffolk Online Bridge, Your Choices. Previously, there'd been some rather pretty photographs of Suffolk, but I'm afraid they were binned. Headlines in big font, striking images. You might think it's garish. Great, I hope it is garish, because it's there. I wanted people to sit up and take notice. Secondly, I worked on the message which Malcolm's alluded to. It basically had 4 strands. You'll see also up towards the top, online bridge is the only game in town. We had to get that across. They weren't going to get any bridge otherwise. Then we spelt out the options. There was Funbridge, BBO, Bridge Club Live. 3, don't be scared by online bridge. And given the age profile of bridge players, many of our members and your members are naturally scared of online. So what did we do? You'll see on the left, that was the main story on the website early on. Never played bridge online and intimidated by what's involved? Don't be. And then we had links to the EBU guide explaining how to play BBO, and critically, to links that Peter produced. He did some brilliant YouTube clips which covered the basics. This is how you open a BBO account. This is how you get a username. And they were absolutely critical so that people could actually think, oh yeah, I can actually play on BBO. So what did we do then? Well, Malcolm came up with the idea of the Teams of 4 League, and in early April, we announced that on the website. And on the left, as well as announcing it, we rammed home the message again. You can play FunBridge, you can play BBO, you can play Bridge Club Live, and down towards the bottom, yet again, links on how you can get involved with BBO. And a few days later, we sent out a reminder inviting people to enter teams for the league. Moving forward towards the end of April, this is where Suffolk went into overdrive. This email, we're reminding them they've got a weekend game yet again, but critically, vertical clubs, would you like to become a virtual bridge club? With Jax and Peter offering training. Obviously, that was a huge step for us. By the time the Suffolk Bridge Committee met in early April, it was pretty clear that there was going to be no club bridge this year, and that's the assumption we made. And so we decided we'd have a virtual AGM and explore the possibility of an online congress. Yet again, we put that on the website, and also on the right, there was a letter which Jeff Ortner, a chairman, wrote, and that was also sent out to all members in Suffolk. Now, it's not only been the Suffolk website, some club websites have also very much adapted and changed. Where has this taken us all? Well, just a small point, on the county website this month, we're heading towards a record number of unique visitors and pages read, so the message is getting out there. Far more important, as Malcolm has said, bridge is being played regularly in Suffolk, including at an increasing number of clubs, with the number of tables sometimes higher than in normal times. But perhaps I can just quickly end with an anecdote. Maggie is a member of Stansfield Bridge Club and is your typical bridge club member. Age 70 plus, living alone, charming, but scared stiff of new technology. The last person you would expect to see on BBO. I ran a practice session on BBO for her and some friends, equally fearful of new technology. A few days later, we spoke, and at the end of the conversation, she said, "Must go, I'm practicing on BBO so we can all play in the online club competition on Thursday." She chuckled. I smiled. Job done. Now, thank you for listening, and I'm going to pass you on.
How do we go about training? I'm going to talk to you about training within Suffolk, how Peter and I have rolled out the virtual club program. And we are together responsible for rolling out this program. We are the representatives within Suffolk. And the idea is that within your own counties, you will have somebody that has the experience and can do the same thing. If you don't, then training is available for that person from the panel. But this is how we go about it within our community. Our aim is to rebuild communities with virtual clubs. We do that by giving access to a support network and a structured training program. We offer a club initiative. We're not training individuals, we're training clubs. And within those clubs, we're getting committees involved. And so those committees can then reconnect with their members and the whole club can refunction as it did before the lockdown. So there are two strands to our training here. We are involved in training the people that are running the events, host, director and scorer training, but we're also involved in training the participants of those events, the members who want to play in our virtual clubs. So we have two divisions there. So first of all, we're going to look at the host, director and scorer training. Because we do it in a club, we have a minimum of 2 people and possibly more, sometimes 3. And we train a team. We're creating a team environment within that club. And each member of that team has the ability to host, direct, and score. There is a difference within virtual clubs between a host and a director, but we give them that entire training so that each one of them is able to run the event, and that builds resilience within that club. We start our training by sending out online training manuals that are freely available anywhere. And for people that like non-interactive training, they look at those before they begin. But then we make heavy use of web conferencing like we're doing today. And most of the training is based on observation. This is quite powerful. You can invite people into your meeting, hopefully with slick and ease, and they can observe you running an event. And the good thing about using web conferencing like Zoom is it can be recorded, and then you have a powerful personal training record. They don't need to write anything down. They can record everything and you can send it to them, and they have an absolute record of exactly what is necessary. Once they've observed us running a live event, they have a supported trial run. And this trial run is small in size. Because it's new for the particular club's members and it's new for the people running it, a trial run is just a few tables. So the members get used to it, and also the people running it get used to it. Once they've done that, we have a supported live session. This will be a normal sized club session, and it would involve us being in a Zoom meeting and actually instructing our trainees how to operate, how to run their event. And that support and supervision lasts as long as they need it to, and we gradually move away, do less and less, and we end up being the observers. But when they're fully comfortable, they can run an event on their own, then they're free to move on. I mentioned collaboration down the bottom, and this is important. It's been touched on before, but some of our clubs within Suffolk haven't had the members within them that feel able to put themselves forward for this training. So it's been an easier thing for them to say, okay, I'm going to collaborate with other clubs, and collectively we are going to open a virtual club. And we have seen that within the county, and that's worked quite well. One benefit of virtual clubs is we have seen a great deal of cross-club support. We've had TDs in one virtual club offering their services to other virtual clubs and saying that they would swap over so they're available to play in their own club events. And this has given the added benefit of some great camaraderie within the county and within people that are running these virtual clubs. So this is the second strand of our training, and it's encouraging member participation to participate in any of our online events, really. This is a club liaison role, and it's a role that Peter and I jointly share. We make ourselves available, and we make ourselves approachable, and we network. These things are really key. I want everybody in the county to know, if they're sitting there and they want to participate in Online Bridge in any way, that they can get hold of myself, that they can get hold of Peter, and there is help available. And if they have a willingness, we can help them with that step, however big it seems to them. As Richard's already mentioned, Peter has developed some online training, short, snappy YouTube videos that he's put on a website. Some people don't like the interactive learning. They just want to go away and look at those YouTube videos themselves. So that's available to them. But again, I make full use of web conferencing for myself, and I take individual and small groups within our Suffolk membership. And those people that need extra hand holding, I take and I walk them through the steps using Zoom and to show them how to play on BBO from the beginning. We also give county-wide web tutorials like this one for up to 100 people to get the maximum number of people together, so that they can come and ask questions, and we can demonstrate to them how to buy BB dollars, how to enter a paid tournament, and we do that en masse. For myself, I've also opened up a virtual pub, which is called the Postmortem Arms, after one of my virtual clubs, and that also gives a relaxed atmosphere for people to come, interact, ask questions, but maybe not on such a platform that would make them feel slightly more nervous. So that's what we're doing within Suffolk for the training. I'm now going to pass you over to Peter, who is going to talk about further development.
Thank you, Jax. So yes, and you'll see our virtual congress is coming up in October. We've already made the decision as a committee that we think that it's going to be a long time before people are comfortable to go back and play face-to-face, even if it's allowed by the government. So we're looking up to the end of the year, really, until there's some kind of vaccine available. We're therefore virtually decided, it's going to be confirmed at a committee meeting on Monday, that we're not going to run Felixstowe in October face-to-face, but we are going to run a virtual congress, and Jax and I are busy working out the technical side of that with help from Gordon, and other people are working on the financials and the communication. I think, as you've seen from the whole thing, we're a very close-knit team here. On the Saturday, we're going to run pairs either in the traditional format, which is a quali-final, a qualifier, followed by a final, or a Swiss. If we run the quali-final, it's critical that we are able to upload results from BBO into EBU score as well as Bridgewebs. We've been able to upload them to Bridgewebs from day one, minute one, because we're ever so lucky to have Chris Chambers here, who has produced an excellent extractor, which does almost all of the work for you. And sorry, let me just go away from the phone. That's very good. And he's just got a version available which will also put the output into EBU score. So that's fantastic. On the Sunday, we're going to run a Swiss Teams. We're either going to do that one round in arrears on the Sunday. We run normally a relaxed session. We don't think we can logistically do that in parallel with the teams. It's just too much work. So we're thinking we will run the relaxed session on the Friday evening. And if we do that, we could, I guess, play the first two rounds of the Swiss Teams on that day. And maybe we'd have time to do current round assignments on the Sunday with a break. Lots of options. Thing is to explore them now and make wise decisions. Our AGM is going to be virtual. We're going to use Zoom meeting for that, and that will work, but we're also going to run our AGM pairs online, and we're going to preserve that semblance of normality. So to play in the AGM pairs, you have to go to the AGM. And then now Jax and I are beginning to surface, because as Jax mentioned, we hand over the reins to the trained club directors when we're sure they're capable, and they just about are now. So within the next week, we expect all our virtual clubs to be self-sufficient, although they will still have our phone numbers and the couple of most experienced directors in the county virtual club team to call on in an emergency. So we've got more time. And one thing we're going to do is to propagate a supervised play model to the clubs. Casegrave is looking at that, and Colchester are looking at that. And even as we've been talking today, I've had registrations come in for the supervised play on Wednesday. And we're making that a combination of play and then a Zoom after a lounge, a social lounge experience afterwards, so that they get a little bit more out of it. And we're looking about reintroducing the relaxed pairs. The first wave of relaxed pairs became redundant because people became confident, but there may be another generation out there we're going to reach out to. And Jax is about to reach out to golf clubs, because whilst you can play golf again, you can't go into the clubhouse to play bridge afterwards. At that point, I will hand the reins back over to Jax.
Thank you, Peter. And I'm just going to leave you with this thought, the very last slide. They're not my words. I could have actually chosen quite a few quotations from emails that I've received from our members across the county. And I know that there is a great need and a demand for virtual clubs out there, and there will be within your own county. We've had emails from people outside Suffolk that want to play, that want to join us. But this is somebody within our county that sent me this email. I'm going to leave you with those words because they speak for themselves. And it says, "Thanks for your help in all you've done for Online Bridge. I certainly would have found the current situation almost unbearable without it." And now it's over to Gordon for questions and answers.
Thank you very much. We've got quite a number of questions. There's one person who's asked lots of questions, so I'm going to leave him till the end so that everyone else can ask theirs, and then he can pick up anything that hasn't already been covered. So that's Jeff. If we haven't forgotten you, we'll get you at the end. So I'd like to start off with Shirley.
Finance was what I wanted to ask. No one's mentioned cost here. And as you probably all know, Surrey ran a very successful charity Sims last month for the NHS, which raised over £7,000. But one of the issues we had was collecting money, because it's quite difficult to match up the people with the money. And I just wondered if anyone in Suffolk had got any experience of how that worked.
So we haven't yet done a charity event, and we would, if we wanted to do that, we would talk to Gordon about the arrangements. What we do is the only way that we collect money from players to play in pairs events is by we call it table money because it's a friendlier label than registration fee that they pay on BBO. And we charge the minimum that we can charge in our agreement with Gordon, which is $3 BB. We make sure that they're not silly enough to buy those BB dollars via the iPad app store, because the exchange rate is about 0.7 rather than 1.25. But that's how we do it. One of the rules that we believe is part of our agreement on virtual clubs is that we do not siphon off any money separately to what we collect via BBO, and we get, at the moment, we get a 70% rebate of that back into the organising club's EBU account at the end of the month.
Thank you.
I'm just looking for Leslie. Go ahead.
I feel that we've lost quite a lot of people to free bridge, and I just wonder how we're going to get those people back. Now they've got to start and fiddle around with dollars.
I think it comes, I agree with you, and I think that was the urgency that we sort of felt in Suffolk, that we really wanted to get in there early and connect with our members. And what we're really just trying to do is foster the community element. And I think this is very important. If you start to communicate again as clubs, these are really important things to your members, aren't they? And a lot of people that are playing in virtual clubs, they're just delighted to be playing with the people that they're used to playing with week in, week out. They know those players, they feel part of that community again. And I think that most of the emails that I've had from people is just that they're delighted to be back in that environment once more, and they feel that really, as Peter said, we call it table money, but it is the same table money as they would play for an evening's bridge. And I think when they get used to doing that, they just feel part of the group that they love being part of, and that's the extra benefit that they are getting. I can see Peter raising his hand and wanting to add something extra, but I do think that initiative is quite important, that community spirit and realizing that you're part of a community and a group. People may love that. So Richard and Peter will want to add something else.
Leslie, you asked, what do you do to get them back? In a simple answer, you talk to them. You start emailing, you get the website out there. What we've discovered, our little bridge club, we are getting more tables now than in normal times. And they really, Jax is absolutely right. They really love that they are doing something together, and they are, quotes, seeing their chums. You've just got to talk to them and very gradually take them through. You can play online bridge. It will work.
I don't disagree with you. It's the smaller clubs that I'm afraid for, because we have, I mean, I'm a member of Leeds. We've got masses of things that are going on, and everybody's playing in a club atmosphere. Yorkshire are starting their own in pairs in another week, and then we're having our congress just like everybody else's, etc. But it's the little clubs I'm worried about.
I think you're right to be worried about the little clubs. Yeah.
But the little clubs do have the option. You do have the option of putting them together, and they can
Well, that's what we have to.
join one virtual club, and this is a good solution for those people. And the important thing is to get those clubs sort of getting used to behaving like they did before, getting the committees communicating with the members like they did before, and feeling like a club again. And this is powerful when this happens. And I appreciate your point that you have an awful lot of members, and I appreciate that it is a manpower thing. And I feel blessed that I've got Peter and I work very closely together. So there are two of us, and we are pretty full on in terms of time with this. But it's incredibly powerful and rewarding, the response that we've had back from our members. Peter might have something else to add on that.
Just a very small point, Leslie, and I think it may be less applicable now you've made the qualification, but part of our value proposition was we were really helped by the fact that Bridgebase Online withdrew the ability for ordinary directors to run tournaments after mid-afternoon. And so that enabled us to say, you know, it is only $3 BB. So without that, they wouldn't be able to play in organized tournaments with friends after mid-afternoon. And people are genuinely really grateful for the value they're seeing added by the county and by the EBU, because we are giving them something which is filling a huge void in their lives.
We had one question that follows directly on from something that's just been said, which is about how to buy dollars if not at the store. And the answer is that you need to buy them on the website. You need to go into the BBO on your main computer rather than on an app, and you buy them there, and then you get a normal, sensible exchange rate. Brian, are you ready to ask your questions?
I've sort of one-handedly set a bridge in Kendal, which I'm sure you'd say is one of the small clubs. We've got 200 members. We started from scratch, and we started running sessions and tried to play team matches with little success. We haven't gone down this pay route, and that's the reason why I'm here, to find out what's involved and what we could or should be doing. So we're playing all our bridge on free tournaments. So the main issue we've had is I happened to get a TD accreditation at the last minute before they stopped it, and that's how I was able to do it. How do we get more TD accreditations?
If you want to be able to open up a virtual club, you have a few options open to you. You can pay for a TD to come and run events for you, or you can pay for training if you don't have that yourself, or you can become, like Peter and I, somebody within your county that is going to be rolling out virtual clubs and helping train other people. And Gordon may have something further to add to that. But there's certainly training available from the panel. I think Gordon, when he sent out the original correspondence regarding virtual clubs, sets that out in that paper.
Yes, the one I think Brian may be asking about whether you can become a TD on BBO in your own right, and the answer is no. They haven't been accrediting anyone since the beginning of this, the last 2 months, and I don't think they're likely to. But if you sign up to the virtual club scheme, once you have that login for your club, then you're allowed to add as many TDs as you like to your own club. So essentially, once that bit has been done and one person has been trained and is able to run an event, then it doesn't have to be limited to that one person. You are, of course, responsible for ensuring that everyone who runs your events does it properly, because this is one of the things that BBO are concerned about, is having inexperienced people causing problems that they then have to deal with because their support is rather overloaded. So the short answer is sign up as a virtual club. Once you've got one person accredited, you can use your club login for anyone else as well to run the games.
Okay, I'm going to have to go away and sell that to our chairman. Okay, thank you. Thank you.
Well, the other thing is that you don't have to have paid training if a county has got somebody who's willing to train you for free. The intention with all of this was that it would cascade down from the top, which is why we're having this meeting for counties, because we want counties to be able to train TDs of their clubs themselves. We don't want the EBU to have to be involved at every stage. It would be great if you have a method whereby counties are able to help the clubs get trained and save them having to pay for training themselves. That would be a good thing.
I think, Brian, it just takes really one person and a willingness to do it and an initiative. And actually, if you have that that willingness and you communicate that with other people, maybe you'd be surprised who comes out in support of you. I mean, certainly what's happened in Suffolk has really just started from a really small initiative, and you know, it's spread out and has been embraced fully and has to start somewhere. Brian, maybe you're the person. I think the thing about virtual clubs, as Gordon says, is that once you have that, you can add lots of directors. And actually what's happening with us is that great camaraderie with other virtual clubs, that when you get one up and running, they really are willing to help other people, and then the load lifts and lightens. And we are starting to see that, as Peter alluded to, within Suffolk. So it sort of starts off in quite an intense way, and the more people you get involved, the easier it becomes for everybody. And then you have resilience within your county, and then actually you have a really positive connection. I do sympathise with you, but there is light at the end of the tunnel weeks down the road. I can promise you that.
Thank you for that. We'll move on to Pippa.
I'm from Bedfordshire, with Colin O'Hara, and Frida, I think, has come on the call as well. We've been running a couple of sessions with a non-affiliated club in Bedfordshire on a Monday and Friday morning, and that's actually been quite useful to actually get the two clubs working together. And we've got various tournament directors that have done that. But with the Bedfordshire one that we run on a Tuesday evening, we're not getting as much support. But I'm going to speak to Colin afterwards, but I think you had answered all my other questions as you were going through the list.
John Parker.
Well, someone was asking how to upload the results, and there is a way in BridgeWebs that will automatically convert the BBO straight onto the BridgeWebs result. Do people know this?
The BBO extractor?
You put the BBO result into BridgeWebs with the file with the BBO competition number, and they'll automatically extract it onto the BBO site. Do people know that or not? Do you want to see it?
I must say I didn't know that.
No way.
Yeah, that's always been there, but the problem is you have to also set up your membership base with all the BBO names against the real names, so that you get a proper printout.
That's right. Yeah.
But it's very straightforward. It's not the method we're using, but we did use it for 3 or 4 weeks. Yeah.
There are different tools in town. We use Chris Chambers' BBO Scorer. And as I said earlier, that enables us now to get results with real names and real traveller data. And it also works out and corrects averages properly from BBO and redoes that. And it also, if you've got, if somebody's got a 60-40, but they happen to have scored 69% in the tournament, then it will reset the score not to 60, but to what it should be. I find that's incredibly useful because it also goes and looks up EBU numbers from the EBU database, and you can include as many counties as you want to in the lookup data. And once you've got the club set up, that spreadsheet set up, maintaining it is trivial, and you can get the results into BridgeWebs within 5 or 10 minutes of the tournament data becoming available at traveller level on BridgeBase Online. And Chris has just produced a version which will also get the data into EBU score. And the reason that's important for us is that handicapped events, for instance, are important to us. Now, once you've got it into EBU score, you can do that. Once you've got it into EBU score, you can do stratification. Once you've got it into EBU score, you can do multi-session events like for our quali-final with the right level of master points. So we're very happy indeed with Chris Chambers' spreadsheet. And if you're interested, go to the Ipswich and Kesgrave BridgeWebs site, and you'll see a page there to BBO Scorer.
Mina Samani, you had a question?
Yes, regarding Swiss pairs, I understand that, and I've run Swiss pairs sessions, that you can potentially meet the same pair again. And the other one is, can actually Swiss teams run on BBO? I thought there was an issue with that.
I can answer both of those, I think. The first thing is that Swiss pairs is not Swiss, it's Danish, which does allow rematches. We stopped using it because it's not ideal. It doesn't do what people think of as Swiss pairs. It was never really intended to do what we in England think of as being Swiss pairs. So I wouldn't recommend using it. They have recently introduced howl movements, which do some of the things that we wanted to have from a Swiss movement in the past. So they're worth looking at. When it comes to Swiss teams, I'm told that there is some underlying method of doing it, but it does involve technical support from BBO. That's not something that you can just go on and run yourself, and we haven't yet done it, although we may be looking to do it. There is a sort of low-tech way of running a Swiss teams, which goes back to the way we used to have Swiss teams before Bridgemates existed, and that is you set up lots of teams matches with their own boards. You don't have the same boards at every table, and you just report the results, and then the scorer does the assignments for the next round. And we're probably going to look at doing something like that in the EBU fairly soon. I know some people have already run some Swiss teams in that way, but we don't have anything approaching the sophistication of what we're used to for either of them.
Okay, follow on, Gordon, regarding the HAL movement, which is going to be very useful for clubs who've got very few tables running. Yeah. At the moment, the TD has to get authorization for that. It's not something that comes automatically with TD rights. Yeah.
It has been given to all EBU virtual clubs. So if you're a separate TD, then no, you do have to ask for it. But any of our virtual clubs who want to run them do have the ability. I'm told there are some dangers and some technical issues with it, so I wouldn't recommend doing it without first checking with someone like our club liaison officer, about who's done quite a lot of them, about what's required and what the pitfalls are. So do take care with it, but I agree that it's going to be something that's going to be great for smaller clubs.
Thank you.
Manx Sargent, you are going to be next, I think.
Thank you, yes. Manx Sargent, sorry, from the Isle of Man, if you can hear me okay. Yep. We are looking very much at establishing our first club and discussing the merits of then following that with an online tournament. We're proposing to go down the BBO route, but we had been stymied, if you like, by the inability to get a director on. And at the moment, we're piggybacking our club players off Aberdeen Bridge Club, who have a tournament director. Do I understand it correctly then that if we put somebody through the training on the EBU virtual club system and establish ourselves that way, we can get a recognised director into Bridgebase, which seems to be our players' preferred platform, then host our own tournaments and grow from that, and perhaps then allow splinter clubs to form from the sort of central club as almost as a county level?
Yes, that's right. That any club that has been accredited in the virtual club scheme has the ability to run games themselves on their own platform. There have been some clubs who I think are trying to go a different route in order to avoid the financial aspects of it, but it is so that won't solve that. But the real question, if you want to run a game, you can do it by a virtual club, and then you can help other virtual clubs to train their own TDs. Yes.
Okay. From our perspective, while we don't, this is not yet it's something we're all exploring as a MBU and Douglas Bridge Club. We are thinking that one club to start off with, which will attract critical mass and allow people to actually find value in the game they're playing for, is the way to start off, and then other clubs can break perhaps from that.
Quite a few clubs have done this as a joint venture. If you've got 3 small clubs, if you come together, you can call the games whatever you want them to be. So if you're running under one login, as long as you're prepared to sort out the finances yourselves, you can run more than one game with a different title from that. So that's probably a good way for small clubs to do it. And if you find clubs that have something in common, either because you're nearby or you run on the same day of the week, something like that, and you're happy to mix with another club, then that can be a good way of getting yourself up to the critical number to make it work.
Just one last question too, which is quite important. At the moment, we're making a decision on which way we go on platforms. And I noticed that BBO is evolving rapidly. It has been the preferred platform for many of us. Do you have any insights as to where BBO is going? Are they anticipating any major changes in structure or payment, or?
They're making changes all the time. They've responded incredibly quickly to what has been close to a 5-fold increase in use of the platform, and that has sometimes caused some problems. Actually, probably fairly few, given this scale of the challenge that they've had. They've been working incredibly hard on that. I don't know exactly what changes they're making. They are now settling down to the point where they can start to look at things that will be an improvement rather than things that are just a necessity to keep things going. You asked about finances. They said from the beginning with the virtual club scheme that they would give the end split will be 50-50, but that for a while they will be doing 70-30, so the clubs get 70% of the money. They are going to start reducing that over the next 3 months or so, but they're also looking at having some kind of a rebate for TD fees so that it isn't too steep a change. So you can expect gradually that they will be taking a bit more of the money, but they aren't, as an organisation, very money grabbing. They do have a lot of concern about community and community support. So I think we can rely on the fact that it's not going to suddenly change dramatically for the worse.
Thank you.
Go ahead then, Tony French.
I had two questions. Clubs do need to be aware that by running sessions and being able to fund those, i.e. pay for a director or the training to become accredited, and by director I mean host, I guess, in BBO terminology, we are running against the EBU sessions, and as an extension of that, we should probably realise, and this is a good reason for clubs joining together, that we can potentially be competing with each other. Now, of course, running a club down here where one of mine is, for example, Upminster, or my club in Brentwood, they can compete if they're running on the same night with a club in Edinburgh, because BBO players can play anywhere in the world. And my point is just to consider that when you are pricing and trying to attract players to come and play in your standard club sessions, and bear in mind that we are competing against EBU sessions. And so I put forward the idea that maybe the EBU should reduce some of the sessions it's running as a consequence of that, to aid clubs being able to fund their sessions. And one further point later on, or two further questions actually. One is, can an EBU host, so for example, if I was accredited to run one of my clubs, can I automatically be accredited to run the other with 2 logins? And two, there is the assumption, I was thinking when Brian Smith was making his point earlier, sounding very much on his own, which is how I feel here as well. Of course, people can get together from wherever in the country. It doesn't matter if I want to run a club here and for instance, Brian wants to run one in Kendal. There's no reason why I couldn't help him and he couldn't help me. We couldn't host each other's clubs when we're playing. Those were my points.
Okay, quick answer to your thing about logging in for more than one club. Yes, you can do that. As long as another club has nominated you and said, we want him to be the person to do it for us, and he already has been trained, then yes, and that could be instant. So this is how things can spread out from one club to another, a county to another, is that you do try and help each other. The question about clubs competing with each other and with the EBU, the basis of the virtual club scheme is that people want to play in their own club with the people who they know and like. And for that reason, I'm not really sure that there is competition. That's what people want the virtual clubs for. They want to see their regular opponents, and they would rather do that, and I believe they would rather pay more money, if it is more money, to do that in their own club than to come to an EBU game. The EBU games are there for all the times when you don't have your regular game to play at. And for the same reason, I don't believe that people are going to go and choose to play an Aberdeen club rather than their local one, even if it's running at the same time. There's certainly seems to me, when I look online in an afternoon and I see 15 different clubs running their virtual games, I don't, there's a lot of our ones, I don't think that there's any real problem with our games taking people away from them.
If I can just add one point to that from a Suffolk perspective, I would agree with Gordon. There's no evidence from our side that that has had any impact. And what we're finding, one of the benefits of this collaborative effort and this camaraderie that we're seeing within virtual clubs, is there's a sensitivity for our clubs that are running of seeing where other events are running within the county. And I know Peter and I have had a conversation with a few people saying, okay, well, there's something going on in that afternoon, and I think I'll shift to the evening. So within the county, that there is that sensitivity, and we're finding sort of quite good cooperation and communication, much more probably than there was before within those clubs that are running virtual clubs. But we've certainly not seen an effect upon our local clubs with competition with anything that's going on from the EBU's point of view. I don't know if Peter's got anything to add.
That sensitivity is really what I was alluding to. Thank you, Jack.
I think it might be time to move on to Jeff Smith, who had a few questions, some of which may have been answered, but if not, Jeff, do you want to put your points now?
First, I just want to say what a great job it seems that Suffolk are doing. I mean, you're not the only ones that are this, but you seem to have it particularly well organised, and you seem to have covered a lot of the things that other clubs are trying to do, but maybe not in such a well-structured way as yourself. One of the questions is still about the accreditation, that BBO do not seem to be taking on any new hosts. And the EBU are talking about accreditation. It's really whether if someone gets accredited, will they have a better chance of them becoming an official BBO host, i.e. has the EBU any particular influence with BBO?
No, but I'm not sure why it would be necessary. The only difference, the original BBO TDs had the ability to run free games, and that is where the difference is. But once you've got the virtual scheme, you're able to run your virtual club games. So I'm not sure why you would need to try to do something else. They're not going to, I don't think, anytime soon start adding on more TDs who are able to run free games, because it's the sheer volume that's causing the problem, and that's why the virtual club scheme is there to try and deal with that demand.
Certainly, from our point of view, we were very lucky that Peter, we had somebody with a free login when we started this. But I would say that probably the risk is, if anything, that BBO, because they've already restricted the time that those free logins can be used, I would say the risk is that that will be even more restricted in the future, and it's on a much more stable footing and beneficial footing to move over to a virtual club.
Nicky Ferguson had a question.
I've looked over a couple of people's shoulders as part of training for the virtual club initiative, and also our experience of running an evening session tells us that at the moment, even with the server upgrade, there's a lot of people getting kicked off and problems with people joining matches on BBO. So I wondered if there was widespread experience of moving from playing in an evening to playing much earlier in the day, and whether clubs are finding that they still get reasonable numbers of people doing that.
Don't know if anyone else has an answer, but as I mentioned earlier, there do seem to be a lot of clubs playing in the afternoon. When I look on the list and put EBU in the filter, I see usually about 15 clubs every afternoon and probably only half a dozen in the evening. So my guess is that the reason they're doing that is for that reason, and they're finding that it works.
Well, it is in our case, and I mean, we're having 11 o'clock and 2 o'clock games. And we never do an evening game because of the problem. Whether that's going to be resolved, we'll wait and see.
In Suffolk, we are running evening games. It's not been without issues, but we are running evening games for clubs most evenings, in fact, apart from Friday and Saturday. But Richard may have something to say on this, because his club in Stansfield, you have moved to an afternoon session, haven't you, Richard, as well as an evening session?
Yeah, we carried out a survey of club members very quickly to see what they wanted, and there was a demand there for an afternoon session. So on Tuesday we meet in the afternoon at 4 o'clock as opposed to 2, and on Thursdays we meet at 7. We've been relatively lucky with people not being kicked off, but there's no question it is trickier in the evening when you've got, what, 57,000 people playing, and it's much easier when you start 11 o'clock or 2 o'clock.
Can I just add something as well? When we do run in the evenings, to get through this, we always have at least a team of 2 certified directors, signed off directors for resilience, not on the same broadband supply either. And as the problems have got severe, we also have a couple of 2 people who are going through the final stages of their training also signed in, because this Tuesday we had a problem whereby we lost 8 out of 56 players.
Everybody did.
Board. And because we had 2 people watching, I was able to tell them what to do. We kept the players in the tournament absolutely communicated to. They knew exactly what was happening. We extended the round by 15 minutes and told those people who had full tables to go and take a tea break while they waited. Unfortunately, people just came back on stream at the end of that round. And at the end of it, although the evening had taken 20 minutes longer than we expected, everybody was incredibly grateful and somewhat amazed that the directing team had pulled it off, because the ACBL were cancelling things left, right and centre that night.
That is the tip. If you are in that unfortunate position and you find that lots of your players have suddenly disappeared, immediately add a significant amount of time to the round time, and that should give them, you know, add 5 minutes per board or extra on, and that will give 10 minutes for people to come back on without you losing your game. So that's the tip if you have that unfortunate experience. Robert Killip had a question that I'm not sure, I don't think has been raised yet or answered.
Okay, yeah, thanks very much. Right, so for somebody who's never played in an online league, we have got probably about 60 odd members of our club who've signed up for BBO at the moment, but what we're finding is the vast majority of them just play amongst their own little groups of 4 or maybe 6, and they just play friendly games time after time, often with the same people each week. Now, what I'd like to be able to do is to tell them exactly how a virtual club runs, because not having seen one, I don't know. So the questions are, how would people actually join a session? What happens if you have an odd number of pairs who want to join a session? Do you always play a set number of boards, or can you decide how many boards are played? And is it like a normal duplicate session?
I think the answer to most of those things is that the club determines them for themselves. So when you're set up as a virtual club, you decide how many boards you want to play in each game, how fast you want them to be. Most people, I think, are playing at 7 minutes a board, but if you have experienced players, it's certainly possible to play faster than that, because you don't spend time moving from one table to another. We had always been told and passed on that you can't run a game with a half table. Just recently, we've been told this is not strictly true, and you can do. But there are potential dangers with that too. I'm not sure that I would recommend it, but I think that the advice now is not as clear as it had been before, that you couldn't do. For EBU games, we will continue to avoid having a half table because our games are very short. They're only 12 boards, and you don't want to only play 10 of those boards. As to joining the game, you log into BBO, you click on competitive, you click on all tournaments, and it will give a long list of tournaments. And if you put in at the top EBU in the search box, it will immediately limit it to the various EBU games. So that's all the virtual clubs and the main EBU. And from there, you can select a game. When you click on it and register, then that's the way to do it. I think, though, that Robert, the question I was expecting from you was about an alternative way of running the games rather than asking people to pay at the point of entry. And it's true that a number of clubs have said that their members were unhappy about spending money in BBO dollars. And for those clubs, we have made an arrangement that they will be charged at the end of the month, and they don't have to charge their members at the time. This is not the preferred method by BBO, and they have warned us that they may not continue to accept it. But for the moment, for clubs who are really reluctant to have their members pay at the point of entry, then do talk to us and we'll try and set up an alternative way.
Yes, I mean, one of our committee members is adamant that he won't pay in BBO dollars for whatever reason. I'm not convinced that would be a general attitude of people, but we'll have to poll our members and see what the
real problem, if you don't, is you have to find another way of collecting your money.
Yes, I understand that. Yeah.
For people to pay at the point of entry rather than you having to phone them up, take credit card details, all the rest of it. But all I want you to know is that if that is a big concern, there is another possibility, and you could talk to us about it. Penny?
Oh, yes, it's not really a question, it's just saying that I've been playing online with the Cambridge Bridge Club, and we play in the mornings 3 times a week. That's a very good time to play. We play 14 boards. Sometimes we have a sit-out pair, and that I don't know how that works, but it seems to work well. And it seems to be a good length of time, about an hour and a half. And I just play with, at the moment, I'm just playing with people from my club, but nobody's mentioned mornings, and I find it better than actually afternoons. And the evenings, of course, we were getting a bit out of hand, so we moved away. That's just my comment.
Thank you. Anyone else got anything that's important that hasn't yet been covered?
Can I just please, it's Dan Miller, can I just please say regarding crashes, because we've experienced them with my club, Diva, in Chester, I recommend you add a standard message to the tournament directors management board to allay the fears of people's game being disturbed. Something along the lines of, there appears to be a general connection problem. Please be patient while while players return, and we will add time for the round. And the other thing I wish to say is just to remember Peter Jordan, if it's okay to just.
Correct. Lovely man.
Yes, yeah. I'm sure most of you will have heard, but perhaps not all of you, that Peter died earlier this week. And many of you will have known him from his time at the EBU in the competitions department, running overseas events and being in charge of the Summer Congress. So yes, he will be a great loss. Jax, have you got anything you want to say to wind up?
No, I haven't, other than we have found it, I personally have found virtual clubs a very enriching experience, and it's actually enabled me personally and my committee, everybody, to reconnect with our members. And out of adversity, there's always something that can be a positive aspect, and that's something that I will take away from this when we're all back in a face-to-face environment, is that I hope we will have a stronger connection within our county because of the experience we've been through.
Come back face-to-face, Bridge, however.
Can I just ask a question? David Guild from Yorkshire. At this time, we're actually talking about technical issues, procedural issues, financial issues. This is a time when actually, if we're going to run to the end of the year, we're going to have new members wanting to come into the clubs. It's also an opportunity to embrace non-affiliate clubs, an opportunity for the EBU to embrace non-affiliate clubs. How is that being managed?
Encouraging them to affiliate, which a number of them have, or encouraging them to support the virtual clubs that are run by nearby affiliated clubs. And again, a number of them are doing that. But we're not obviously going to pass over the things that we've set up for our affiliated clubs to non-affiliated clubs. So we very much welcome their members. We welcome them to affiliate if they want to, but I'm not sure what else you think we might or ought to do.
Can I just add something, Gordon?
Yeah.
We found with a lot of our clubs is that you need to learn to walk before you can run. So with Colchester and Stratford St Mary, or a joint club, they've run their first couple of virtual sessions. They're now confident they're doing it. They're opening the gates wider, and you restrict who can join tournaments. So you have total control. It's not like you can choose to allow strangers to turn up, but we don't. It's only people who've pre-registered. And they're now sending out through all our contacts, non-affiliated people, trying to get them to come along, because we have something to offer that nobody else does. And we're giving them provisional membership. We're making them members of the EBU after a couple of visits, and hopefully they will stick, or many of them will stick.
Just one final point, Gordon, if I can. What we haven't discussed is where this is going to leave Bridge in a year, 15 months' time. I'm pretty sure in my own mind it's going to be different. And some people may become wedded to online rather than wishing to go back to clubs, and what is going to happen to small clubs. But Bridge will change as a result of what is happening now.
I think there's no doubt that that's true. My personal view is that it will probably coexist. There are lots of people now who have discovered online who would never have expected to, but I think they would mostly still rather go and play with their friends at their local club. However, online will continue to offer an alternative for those moments when you haven't got a whole evening, you've only got a short amount of time, or you're not feeling very well, or the weather's very bad. And I think that we will continue to run online games alongside the other ones. Yes, things will change, but I don't think that online will take away from clubs completely.
I actually think it will enrich the game in the long term.
Right, I think then pretty much everyone's had a chance who wanted to say anything. I hope so. Thank you all. And one thing I was going to say is that there is on the EBU forum, we do have a starter post about the way forward, those kind of discussions that have just been brought up at the end of this discussion, where things will go further forward. So if you log on to the EBU website, and there is a link there for the forums, and you will see that the very top one at the top of the list is about the future after COVID-19. So do come along and join in there if you've got something further you'd like to say about that. Thank you all very much, and thank you very much to Jax and all the committee members from Suffolk for running this and doing such a great job of it. And anyone who needs to contact me with any further questions, you're always very welcome to. Thank you all very much.